Hello all. Today we are solving LeetCode problem number 1622 fancy sequence. So we are given basically let me read out the problem. So write an API that generates fancy sequences using append, add all, multiply all operations. Implement the fancy class where we are given the fancy class which initialize the object with an empty sequence, which is initial create an array basically. So and append void append all, which has the parameter val. So append the integer val in the end of the sequence, and void add all, which has the parameter increments all existing sequence by the integer in. So void multiply all m is the parameter given, so multiply all existing values in the sequence by the integer m. So get index idx, get the current value at index idx, which is for example 0 indexed. It is 0 indexed basically, and of sequence modulo 10 power 9 plus 7. What exactly this means? Based on the given index, fetch the actual value before this add all and multiply all operations are being done on that, the actual value which we have append in the place of the index. So if there is if the index is greater or equal to the length of the sequence, then return -1. So if it is not there, return -1. So this is the question basically. So how do we do this? It's looking at this, it is very straightforward because fancy we have to initialize an empty space. So we will have a constructor, so where we can initialize by we will be using self for initializing the array. So we will create an array or a list, empty list we can create in this. And when it is coming to append, using a list dot append, we can append the value at the end, so that is also fine. And void add all, increment the existing value integer by in. So you can run a for loop. So let me write it down. This is for first, this is for second one, and this is for third. So for loop iterated and increment all, right? So you have to you can make it as example list of I is equal to 2, sorry, not 2, this should be increment in plus list of I. So now this is a deep list done, and this will take the multiply all again for, and list of I is equal to the value m multiplied by list of I. So this will be also taken you know it will be taken care. And now for this the fifth one, that is to return the actual value, we can, there are many ways actually. So either you can use a separate copy of the actual list. So we can use the index. So for example, the list be list 1, so use the index idx and return the value. So the time complexity which will will be taken here is big O of n and big O of n, which is fine. But based on this particular problem, I have to finish this actually. So this will take big O of 1 and big O of 1. So this is fine anyway. This is for addition and this is for multiplication. So but this is fine. But in this case we have the constraint where the length, right? So it ranges from 0 to 10 power 5. So big O of 1 n is not at all sufficient for this. We have to find a very mathematically possible solution which will consume less time complexity, because this particular solution is very direct and this will solve 105 test cases out of 107. So there are two test case where time limit exceeded is coming, so it is due to that reason we have to find a different solution. So it is due to that particular reason this is a hard problem. So how do we do this? There is a idea here which not idea, it's a mathematical solution which we are going to follow here. So we are having a formula which is called n is equal to some value base which is multiplied with the mul value and added with the accumulated sum, right? So n is the value which is the val which we need to append, right? So n is that, and there is some base value with which if you multiply that and added with this is multiplied with the accumulated multiply value whichever is giving passed as a parameter for a multiply function, and accumulated sum value which is also passed as a parameter for some function. So using this particular formula we can we can reduce the time complexity from big O of n to big O of 1. So let me explain how. So we need n, so we will have a base value and accumulated multiply value and accumulated sum value. So this is the function. So first thing is we have to find the base value. We know n is given and multiply is given and sum is also given. So base is equal to, when you bringing this here, this becomes n minus sum and this will be divided by multiply. But when we are performing this modulo operations, this is not possible, hence we can write it as n minus sum which is multiplied by m power minus 1 which will be modulo by 10 power 9 plus 7. So this is the formula for base. Let me write it down separately: n minus sum and m power 1 modulo 10 power 9 plus 7. So this is for base, and then what we can do is we have all the four functions, right? All four functions, where first one is append. By append it is not necessary to add exact value inside the list, because there is nowhere they are asking to print the complete array. But in the fifth function they are asking to return the actual value, based on the index. So we have to take care of this one only, but there is no requirement to append the n alone. Instead we can calculate this base value and append it into the append function, the list basically, because we need to store that anywhere. So with because with this base value only we can you know uh, we can recover this n value for the fifth function. So that is the reason we will be calculating this. And in terms of multiply, so what we will do is we will calculate accumulated multiply variable value, because when we want to return using this we can calculate the actual array actually, because use if we are using this variable multiply which has this accumulated multiply value, using this we can use multiplier in multiplied by the list of I will give the actual value when we will give a value, let that be value multiplied. So this value is nothing but the result of the multiply function which is being called, right? And in terms of addition as well, we will have sum which is which carries the accumulated sum value, And when we uh, call the sum value, we will be getting some result, right? Example, that can be val add. So this can be calculated by list of I added with accumulated some value. So so that is the reason for add function we calculate accumulated sum value, and here also we calculate accumulated multiply value. So that is it. And coming to the last function, the sixth one, no, not sixth one, actually this should be the third one and this should be the fifth one. So we know that we have this base as the value, right? So using the base we can calculate n, which is n is equal to base multiplied by m plus sum, right? So using this we can calculate the value, because based on the index you will be getting some base value, right? And you have accumulated multiply value and accumulated sum. So if I expand base multiply and sum, so you have the value in hand, you can get the n value and return n in modulo mod. So this is how you are going to solve the problem. So let me give an example. Consider the array, we are having so much elements here, and till n minus 1 element here we will have consider a element value as 7. So for 7 we have to find the base value. Base is equal to 7 is n minus, now you have sum initialized as 0 and multiply initialized as 1. So you have these two values. So 7 multiplied by 1 added with 0, no, this is the n formula actually. So base formula is equal to n minus s and m power minus 1, then modulo mod, right? So base value is equal to 7 minus 0 and 1 power minus 1, which is nothing but 7. So you have 7 here, 7 is appended into the list, so list has 7 appended, and then you have to find the accumulated sum. So you have the increment value as 2, so accumulated sum is equal to 0 plus 2 is equal to 2. So again, when you call the accumulated multiply value, uh, it can be n is equal to 2 as well. So in this case you have equal to 1 multiplied by 2, which is multiply equal to 2. So this is fine, but in terms of multiplication, what happens is you have to multiply the value with accumulated sum, because only we doing this particular calculation we could able to track the value. So I will explain that. So now sum is equal to 2 multiplied by the actual sum 2, which results in 4. So sum is 4. So first this operation is called, so 7 plus 2 becomes 9, right? And then this multiply operation is called. What happens is 9 multiplied by 2 becomes 18, right? So now if you clearly see, this can be written as 18 is equal to 4 plus 14. So as a result of that you can say this is 7 multiplied by 2, which is this mul value, and this 4 value is nothing but accumulated sum. So if we do not multiply the accumulated sum value with the multiply value, then we will lose track of this and we may lose the value. So this is necessary, and this is it. And the time complexity for this is big O of 1. So for appending alone we will be having big O of n times, appending the value into the list. So other than that, everything has time complexity of 1 times. So with this idea, let us go ahead and code this up. So first thing, we start with the constructor, where we define the array and the accumulated add value and accumulated multiplied value along with the mod value here. So self dot this can be list is equal to the empty array or list. So self dot add is equal to 0 and self dot multiply is 1 and self dot mod is equal to 10 power 9 plus 7. So the constructor part is done. So while appending, what exactly we are doing is we are finding the base value and then appending it. So in this case, base is equal to we will have the given value, which is subtracted by the addition and which is multiplied with uh, the whichever value is there multiplied with power minus 1, and then you will do along completely you will do this modulo operation, right? So based on that, this is value minus self dot add, then it is we are using power function here, power minus 1. So self dot multiply and the power is minus 1. So along with that, we have to calculate the mod as well, self dot mod. So and in total we have to mod this. So this is modulo operation mod. This should be self dot mod. So this is how we calculate the base value, and we are appending the base value into the list. So self dot start append base. So now this part is done. So now we are moving into this addition part. So adding the overall array with the given value increment inc. So self dot add is equal to self dot add the accumulated added with increment, which is modulo with self dot mod, right? And now since this is done, the accumulated add is done. So now multiply all. So in terms of multiply, the two things changes, which is the multiply also changes, along with that addition also it is changed, right? So it is due to that particular reason self dot mul is equal to self dot multiply with the given value m, and this is by divided by mod, I mean modulo by mod, right? So this should be self dot mod, I'm missing it. So again self dot add is equal to self dot add multiplied with m modulo self dot mod. So now this is also done. So now here comes the get index value, which which will return the actual value before performing this operations. So based on the index, it returns the value. So now we have to check the base case, which is if idx is greater than or equal to length of the given list. So dot list. So in that case, you return -1, else you can perform the operations where you will return answer is equal to you have self dot list of the index value, right, which is which will be multiplied with the mul and then it will be added with the add, right? So this will be multiplied with self dot mul based on the expression which we derived. uh, so here now this should be added with uh, self dot add, right? So and now we have to perform this modulo operation completely, right? So hence mod it with self dot mod. So this is the answer and we are going to return the answer. So this is it. So let me run it and submit it, and there you go. Thank you.